so many and served in many relationships in her life. She was a daughter and sister, a mother, a friend, a teacher, a grandma, and was beyond thrilled when she became a great-grandma. To me, she was my grandma, and I am so blessed to have been loved by her. This is truly the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Saying goodbye to her is something I knew I would have to do one day and was never going to be ready for. I wish I could hear her voice. Just one more day. Just one more time. No matter how much time you have with someone that you love, we're never ready to let them go. When looking for old pictures, I found Grandma's prayer journal and talks that she gave in this very church. I believe she led me to them as a true testimony of her life and faith. So today, we will get to hear from her one more time. When I say, Gigi says, I am sharing her words, an intimate glimpse into the heart of a woman we all loved so dearly. What can I say that would truly represent who she was, her life? As I asked God for guidance, I realized that Grandma has been preparing for this Mass her entire life and preparing me for all of mine. Thanks, Grandma. In fact, Gigi says, make your life a prayer. And she did just that. My grandparents would hold hands and pray for each of us by name at the beginning and end of every meal, and at the beginning and end of every day. Those prayers have blessed and protected our family over the years. My grandmother was a dedicated but strict teacher for 35 years. We have heard from many of her students with testimonies about how she changed their life and taught them things that they took with them on their journey. A remarkable teacher knows how to get your attention and teach you when you don't realize that you're being taught. Grandma was an astounding teacher in the classroom and in her life. What has she taught you when you didn't realize that you were in the midst of a lesson? I would like to share with you some of what I learned from our teacher. A lesson on love, faith, and forgiveness. Love. Grandma anchored her life in the love for her husband and her family, but most of all, her love for God. Her faith gave her an undeniable peace. In fact, in her prayer journal, Gigi says, "Isn't God wonderful? He knows what we need and never abandons us. I love him and thank him for leading me in my life." The love that my grandparents have shared for 68 years is undeniable. A love created with true dedication and determination, and God. Grandma trusted God and always prayed for him to protect and sustain their marriage. In fact, Gigi says, "Lord, may you always keep the spark of love in our hearts." She was a wonderful wife. She was very loving, always ready to forgive, and when she made a mistake, she apologized. Grandma truly loved sharing life with her husband. Her face would light up with joy whenever her or Grandpa would tell us stories about their life together or when discussing her parents and sisters. She loved traveling, listening to music with Papa, and playing cards. She could be a bit competitive though. We'll never forget the time when she was caught cheating when playing cards with my parents. Grandma would sit for hours looking at photos and videos of her family. It brought her so much joy to see us happy. We remember how her face would light up when she would see us, her smile, and how her voice would burst with excitement when we would call. The joy in her heart could not be contained, and as she would ask about each one of us by name. As you may know, Gigi had social media. As soon as she realized it was going to allow her to see pictures of her family, she was determined to learn how to use it. In fact, I think she may have surpassed us all, because somehow she was able to get all of our posts sent directly to her, or so she thought. She was happy with anything that meant she was with her family, going out to the pasture with Grandpa and the cows, shopping with the girls, but I think she loved watching our smiles on Christmas morning the most. Grandma smiled when we smiled, laughed when we laughed, and cried when we cried. Grandma had a special relationship with each of us. I would like to share a little of ours with you. Riding down the country road in a white pickup, in between my grandparents, waiting until it was time to yell, "Yeehaw!" as we entered Lake Placid. Chasing cows from one pasture to the other, driving tractors, picking fruit, playing blackjack, making crafts, riding horses. Well, I would ride them. Grandma was afraid of them. And so much more. That was the thought. That is what I thought heaven was. Grandma wanted to make sure we knew she was here. All right. That is what I thought heaven was as a child. I felt truly loved, safe, and wanted. Our bond is so strong, special, and pure. She just saw me and understood me like no one else. It doesn't matter what was going on. I felt tremendous peace hearing Grandma's voice and the way she always knew what to say. As I got older, our conversations changed from Barbies in school to more important things like life. Our relationship evolved, and I could truly talk to my grandparents about anything, although there may have been some conversations my grandpa did not want to be part of, but he was. Grandma was a great listener and always ready to communicate about any misunderstanding and apologize. She truly cherished every moment with us. She was intentional about what she did and the impact it had. In fact, Gigi says we should do a self-check in our dealings with others to see if we're acting in a spirit of love. I will never forget when I was about 14. My grandparents bought a brand new home, and she was so excited. Until she found out that I took a bubble bath in her brand new bathtub before she did. I thought I was in big trouble. But instead, she said, "It's okay, sweetheart. Did you like the bathtub?" My grandmother was raised with a strong Catholic upbringing, and she instilled that same faith in her family. Although we both had our own journey with God, Grandma led by example, as someone I trusted and was further along in her walk than I was. I loved our deep conversations about life and our relationship with God. We would pray together in good times and in bad. I have seen my grandmother go through trials, and she walked beside me in mine. The strategy was always the same: lean on God, trust God. That doesn't mean she was never worried. In fact, Gigi says, I prayed and I prayed. I had to keep trusting God. She knew he would always answer her cries. This had been proven in their deep and intimate relationship that was built throughout her life. Grandma found an undeniable peace in trusting and surrendering to God. In fact, Gigi says, "My life is not perfect and never will be, but it is in the hands of God, and he knows what's best for us." On 7/7 of this year, God decided her work was done, and it was time for her to go home. Now we must find our peace in God and faith, a faith she instilled in us. We have the hope that we will see her again. Grandma's job is done, and she is now surrounded with a love and peace that we cannot imagine. As I mourn this tremendous loss in our family, I learned that to experience great grief means you also experienced great love. The love remains. The memories remain. Her legacy remains. My parents are already carrying on the legacy of being extraordinary grandparents. God willing, one day, I too will be a grandma and great-grandmother. And you better believe that I will be following my grandma's example. When worries begin, I will use grandma's strategy and trust God. Because Gigi says, the statement of if God leads you to it, he will get you through it, has been proven countless times during my lifetime. Thank you.